What if the truth was never meant to come out? What if the very files that could change everything about how we see the powerful were buried by the very people who promised to reveal them? This is RNN News, and tonight, we expose a revelation that could shake the very core of American power. Attorney General Pam Bondi held a private meeting with Donald Trump and her deputy Todd Blanche, where she reportedly told Trump that his name appeared multiple times in the Epstein files connected to one of the darkest sex trafficking operations in modern history. Files the public was promised would be released, files that could potentially connect names, dates, and events to horrifying abuse, but instead Bondi closed the case. She declared the investigation complete, refused to release anything more, and claimed it was all too sensitive to share, citing child pornography and personal information of victims. This came after a campaign of transparency, a promise to shine a light on those who were part of Epstein's world. Yet now we hear from multiple senior officials that Trump was specifically briefed and told he appeared in those documents that there were hundreds of names linked to Epstein, many of them well-known and powerful, but the documents themselves were suddenly off limits. Then in public, Trump was asked directly if Bondi ever told him he was mentioned in the files, and he flatly said no, not at all, brushing it off, claiming the entire thing was made up, blaming Obama, blaming Biden, calling it another Russia-style hoax. He said the files were fabricated and spun out a bizarre conspiracy that included Democratic operatives, and even suggested that Obama used a time machine to make it all happen. This strange denial stands in direct conflict with reports from within his own administration that he was warned, told, informed explicitly that he was named. The contradiction raises a chilling question. What is he trying to hide? Why would the former president lie about something so specific? Unless there was something devastating in those files. This isn't just speculation, there's more. Kash Patel, former FBI director, reportedly told government officials that Trump appeared in the files too. And this is where the story takes an even darker turn. While the public was told there was nothing more to see, engaging in private talks with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's closest accomplice. Maxwell is now serving a 20-year prison sentence for grooming and recruiting underage girls for abuse by Epstein. His network. Yet, despite her conviction, despite the severity of her crimes, her legal team is reportedly in talks with none other than Todd Blanche, Trump's former personal defense attorney, who now operates as a deputy within the Justice Department, and those discussions have sparked speculation that Maxwell may be seeking a deal, possibly even a release, in exchange for information. But what information, and about whom? Why now? If the files were truly harmless, if nothing was worth further investigation, why would anyone need to negotiate with a convicted trafficker? Unless there is more to this story than they want to admit. Remember, this is the same Trump who, according to another bombshell report, allegedly wrote a birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein on his 5th birthday, a letter that featured a line drawing of a naked woman and bore Trump's signature where her pubic hair would be in the letter he reportedly wrote. We have certain things in common. Jeffrey, amid enigmas never age, may every day be another wonderful secret. Trump says the letter is fake, and he's suing the reporters, the paper, and even media mogul Rupert Murdoch for billions. But whether or not the letter is real, the mounting evidence is becoming impossible to ignore, from reports in the Wall Street Journal to independent confirmations by other outlets to a growing list of officials leaking details from within this administration. It seems more and more likely that Trump knew he was named, and that the files may contain connections between him and the world of Jeffrey Epstein. This isn't a partisan attack, this is about truth and accountability, and perhaps, most shocking of all, is that Pam Bondi, who was scheduled to speak at a high-profile summit against human trafficking today, failed to show up. A deputy took the stage instead and read a short note saying she had torn her cornea and couldn't attend, a curious excuse at a critical time when the world is demanding answers, when the very credibility of the Justice Department is under fire, and when the files that were promised to the public are instead being locked away, while private deals are being discussed behind closed doors with a convicted trafficker. The question now is not just who is in the files, but why are they being protected, and what are they so afraid will come out? If we see the full truth, this is not just another political scandal. This is something deeper, something darker, and it may just be the biggest cover-up we have ever witnessed. And it is happening right now, before our eyes, now, with the revelation that Trump may have been personally briefed about his name appearing in the Epstein files, and the Justice Department choosing to suppress those files. Entirely, questions are now being raised at the highest levels of government. Senator Dick Durbin, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, has already fired off a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding answers after learning that hundreds of FBI personnel were instructed to flag any documents containing the name of Donald Trump. What possible reason could justify such targeted attention? Unless there was a direct interest in hiding or preparing for a future defense related to what those documents might contain? And if there was nothing criminal or questionable in those references, why hide them? Why silence them? And why shift from full transparency to full lockdown? It seems every move that has followed this secret May meeting between Trump, Bondi, and Blanche only adds to the suspicion. We now see a pattern: Trump publicly denying any connection, while his inner circle privately scrambles to control the narrative. Ghislaine Maxwell remains behind bars, but the possibility of a deal looms large, especially when key players like Todd Blanche, who served as Trump's personal lawyer, are suddenly involved in talks that could influence her sentence. What could she offer? That would be worth reducing the prison term of a woman convicted of grooming underage girls for a global sex trafficking ring. Is she prepared to name names? Is Trump one of them? And how far is the Justice Department willing to go to keep that information from the public? And we have to ask, if this was any other person, if this was any other president or former president, would the response be the same? Would there be this level of hesitation? Many roadblocks, this many conflicting reports, this deeply coordinated effort to protect one person while the victims and the truth are buried beneath legal maneuvering and partisan smoke bombs. And what of the media? What role do they play in this? Some call it fake news. Some call it a witch hunt. But when respected publications like the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times begin to report the same timeline, the same conversations, the same strange refusals to disclose documents, it becomes much harder to dismiss it all as some grand political hoax. And even within the Republican Party, cracks are beginning to show in a rare move. Some Republican lawmakers have joined calls to subpoena the full Epstein files. They want to know why these documents remain hidden. They want answers and they want transparency. The question remains, what happens if those files are ever released? What names will they contain? What associations will they expose? And how much longer can the people at the center of this storm keep pretending like the walls aren't closing in? Trump continues to lash out, suing journalists, calling it all lies and hoaxes. But the American people are watching, and they are asking the same question. Why? If there is nothing to hide, are they going to such extremes to keep the truth from coming out? At the end of the day, the Epstein story is not just about one man, it's about a network of influence, wealth, and abuse that thrived in the shadows, and the fight to uncover that truth is not over. This is RNN News, bringing you the facts, the silence, the spin, and everything in between. If you care about truth, if you care about justice, if you care about protecting the innocent, then stay with us and make sure to like and subscribe.